Hello YouTube, my name is Ryan. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a great day. Got in parts that I need on this amp, and gonna get started on this today. I've kind of gone through this. I spent about 3 hours last night going over the schematic, making some notes. I've got I didn't do any markups on the schematic, but I got the schematic here, and I went through just out of curiosity. And this is all my secret notebook here. But I went through and wrote down all the values of all the resistors, wrote down all the values of all the capacitors. Well, I didn't quite get finished with it. Then kind of made some notes on some things that I'm kind of my thoughts, my ideas on what I'm gonna swap out. I always like to make notes so that if any of the changes that I make need to be reversed, I can easily reverse them. I'm going to change out the big can caps. I've got the replacements here that I'm using. I'm going to flip this amp over in a minute and see what somebody put in there previously. But I've got some F&Ts to replace those with. These are made in Germany F&Ts. Gonna replace these with Sprague. Got those somewhere in here. Got all these parts from Mauser, so I'll sort through these, and then I'll just start working on this in sections. But I'm going to replace all of the electrolytics for sure. Last time this was recapped was in 2016. I'm not sure that they changed everything out in here or not. I like to be minimally invasive on vintage amps, just because that's what makes the tone, is the you know, how it was built in the factory. So I'm just gonna replace the maintenance parts, get the right tubes in here, and see how it sounds from there. First thing I'm gonna do is get this flipped over and pull these tubes. The video I made the other day, I didn't even see what the preamp tubes were that were in here. So, oh cool. I guess that's when it was born, right there. April 6th of 86. That's pretty cool. Sweet Caroline. I don't know if the guy that owns this amp even knows that his amp is named Caroline. That probably was the amplifier technician that either built it or did the final QC on it. See what we got here. I can't really tell if those are F&T because the band is right across the name there. All right. Get these tubes pulled. These are the cooked tubes. I kind of want to get a close-up of that. Man, I've never seen tubes that cooked before. That is crazy. Look at that. If you looked at my last video, or the part 1 of this, the schematic for this amp matches up exactly to the EL34, but this has the 6550s. Holy crap, that tube's broke. That tube's completely broken. Wow. That's insane. That tube's completely broken. Glad I didn't power that on when I first got it. I was going to power it on and do a before and after, but yeah, that tube's completely broken. Wow. Well, let's just take the opportunity to take a look at that. There you go. That's what the inside of a JJ6550 looks like. Pretty cool. See if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, that tube was broken. I've never seen one split like that before. That's what a 6550 looks like on the inside. Very cool. That's kind of a cool opportunity to see what the inside of a tube looks like. Try to get that stuck back in there without cutting myself. That is definitely no good. That's probably why it's always a good idea to, when you're pulling tubes, to pull them by the base. Well, there's that. In all its frosty goodness, you can actually see stuff kind of floating around in the tube there. All right, let's see what these preamp tubes are. Get these covers off. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't fire that up. I have to get a vacuum. There's some little shards of glass there. So let's go V1. I think I'm going to put these, yeah, I can put those up there. I'm a little holder. Oh, nice. V1, we got a RCA. I'll get my tube tester out. That should be a really good one to put back in there. V2 looks like we got a groove tubes 7025. That is probably a rebranded JJ. Well, yeah, it might be a Shungwei tube because it's labeled 12AX7C, which is probably the Chinese Shungwei. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. V3, same thing. Wait, no, this is 12AX7R, which is Russian, so that's probably a Sovtek. So it looks like they went RCA for the initial gain, and then they went Shungwei, which is a high gain tube, for the V2, and V3, the Sovtek's not super high gain. V4, which is going to be that's going to be the reverb and the effects loop tube driver. Realistic. That is an interesting 12AU7. I'm going to have to look that up because I believe on the, let me grab the schematic. A realistic 12AU7. See if I see any etching on that. I'll have to do some research on that to see who actually made those. These tube pins have been bent before. I don't like using tubes with bent pins, because a bent pin could potentially mean that, you know, it cracked the base. I don't like using tubes like that, but these look like they got gold-plated pins, so that's kind of cool. But I don't feel good using that one again because of the bent pins. You can see those have been bent before. And finally, this is going to be the phase inverter tube, the V5 RCA 12AX7A. I know Marshall likes to use 12AX7s for their phase inverters, but 12AT7s make a much better phase inverter. That might be one that I might shift that one over. Those RCAs are good tubes. So let me grab that schematic, see what we got. I don't know if V4 I don't think that's supposed to be a 12AU7. Let's see what we got here. So we have it doesn't really say on the preamp tubes what they're supposed to be. Let's see, does it say over here? Oh yeah, here we go. So over here, V1, V2, V3, V4 are all supposed to be 12AX7s. So V1, V2, V3, V4, those are all supposed to be 12AX7s. Let's see, where's V5 on here? Do we have V5? Yep, V5 is supposed to be a 12AX7 ECC83. So all 5 tubes are supposed to be 12AX7s. The 12AU7 in the reverb and the effects loop. 12AU7 is about a 20% gain compared to a 12AX7. 12AX7 100% gain. 12AU7 is about 20% gain. So the reverb in this was probably pretty low, pretty weak. I'm gonna get that glass before I end up getting it stuck in my finger. I really don't want a piece of glass stuck in my finger. Well, and while I have it this direction, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a little DeOxit. I miss these type of cans of DeOxit because the new ones have the little flip out sprayer, and these you can adjust the flow. You can go low, medium, high, and low is always plenty to spray with. The other one's pretty much just, you just barely squeeze squeeze it and it'll squirt half the bottle of DeOxit in there. This has a little bit more control. I really like to soak those pin sockets And that's probably running through already. Try to get that flipped back over before it makes too big of a mess. Do that while I'm thinking about it. That'll give it plenty of time to do its magic. I'm just kind of sopping up the excess before I flip that back over. Put a piece of packing tape the other day because I almost lost my little nozzle, and it's hard to have any control when you lose that. All right, so I'm kind of feeling their thoughts on the 12AU7 there, but you know, stock configuration calls for 12AX7s in all positions. However, a 12AT7 in the phase inverter provides a lot more for the power tubes. So that might be a little bit of an experiment that I try, but I am definitely going to do the initial. I'm just going to get this thing back to stock, because these things should scream when they are stock. They should sound really good in a stock configuration. One thing that's really cool about these, I just noticed, always kind of nerd out on these. Let me pull this down here. These are the kind of an older style tube socket, which is really cool because they have lugs for the center. That's pretty cool. You don't see those as often nowadays. The Echoplex units that I've worked on the tube Echoplex units that I've worked on have had these, because you can when you're doing point-to-point wiring, you can use those lugs to kind of attach components for point-to-point connections. Kind of cool. I really want to do just a full series on this without having too much time lapse or speeding up or anything, because there are people that are interested in this kind of stuff, and it might help people that want to repair their own. One of the things that I really want to do before I get too much into changing out components is take this out to the shop and blow everything out with an air compressor. I mean, this thing's super clean, but there is a little dust in it. Get that blown out with an air compressor, and I want to blow out all these jacks with an air compressor before I put some DeOxit in there. And the pots feel like they've probably been cleaned before. They're pretty loose. For the pots, I like to use Fader lubricant, because it has an actual lubricant in it. The DeOxit is really good for cleaning, but it washes out. DeOxit washes out all the lubricants. The Fader cleaner puts a little bit of lubricant in there, so it makes it smoother. See if I can get this blown out now. Oh, See all the dust fly out of that? Holy cow. Let that charge back up a little bit. Then I'll get it blown out some more. Yeah, this is pretty clean. I mean, it's dusty, just like all old amps are. Drake transformers. That's cool. Drake. That's a 1202324/6. That's a, let's see here, that's a 784139/6. That's a 1471263/6. Drake transformers. Whoa. Holy cow. See all the dust flying there? Holy moly. That thing was full of dust. Holy moly. Let it charge up a little bit more. Overall, this thing looks real clean. Oh, what do we got down here? 1986 to 1988. Huh. Somebody drew a little picture in there. RE5K6. Interesting. The heck is that? Zip tie. compressor is pretty small because my big compressor, the the air pressure adjustment knob just broke off, so I got to order one of those. Okay. I think I'm gonna give it one more little bit in here. Okay, I think we're gonna call that good. Okay, we're back on the bench here. Let's get a little look here. I keep putting this up on the stand and then I want to get a closer look. So get a little closer look. I mean, this was clean before I used the air compressor, but now it's super clean. Super clean, super clean. There was a couple of little cobwebs in there. I mean, that just goes with having an amp this age, but now it's super clean. I don't have to worry about you know, working around dust while I'm changing out components now. So I know you can't see the inside of the jacks, but you might have seen the little puff of dust that flew out when I used the air compressor on those. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna stop with the video now. I don't think I'm gonna start on changing anything tonight because I'm kind of tired. I've been on the road, so I just wanted to get it cleaned up and prepped for tomorrow to kind of start working on it. And who knows, I may get a second wind later and start on it tonight, but it's all clean, all ready to go. Everything's you know, all the dust is blown out, so it's fresh and clean. And yeah, so if you like my videos, please give it a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for future notifications. Head over to my channel, check out some of my other restoration videos. I've got some pretty cool stuff over there. Fully restored the trainer bass amp that I'm playing now. I've restored some Marshalls, restored some Echoplex units, guitars, electronics, effects pedals. Got all kinds of stuff over there. So if you're into that sort of thing, go check it out, and hit the like button on those too if you like them. So all right, as always, I'm Ryan. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Have a good night.